welcome. This new presentation is vaccines, what they are and how they work. So, to understand vaccines, we must take a quick look to its history. So, it all starts with Edward Jenner that notes that some dairy maids that are exposed to cowpox, a virus, if they are exposed, then they seem to be immunized to smallpox, which is a very dangerous virus. So he did an experiment. He inserted some material from a cowpox sore into a little child So then later he inserted some samples of smallpox into a child, and he discovered that he was immune to it. So Edward Jenner basically created the first vaccine ever and started the concept of immunization. So then Louis Pasteur, taking note of this, decided to work on rabies. So what he did is that he showed that the disease could be prevented by infecting humans with weakened germs of the rabies. So he basically desiccated the spinal cord of some rabbits that were exposed to rabies until they were basically neutralized, and then applied the sample into a boy named Joseph Meister, who had been bitten by a rabid dog, and then it worked. He was cured. So after this, Louis Pasteur showed to the world that the vaccines were an important tool to improve the quality of life of people, and that immunology should be studied. Now, fast forward to 1930, Maurice Hilleman was a very productive man. He was able to develop over 14 vaccines, which is an unparalleled record of productivity and a record. Of the 8 of these vaccines are considered vital nowadays. They are measles, mumps, hepatitis B, chickenpox, meningitis, and pneumonia. So this is basically the most important parts of the history of the vaccines. So now we're gonna take a quick look to the immune response. So when germs such as bacteria or viruses invade the body, they attack and multiply. This invasion is called an infection, and this is what causes illness. The immune system uses several tools to fight infection. Blood contains red blood cells that carry oxygen to tissues and organs, and white or immune cells for fighting protection. So first we have macrophages. They are basically white blood cells that swallow and digest germs. And then after they do this, they expose some antigens. Antigens are a portion of the surface of a bacterium or a virus, and the immune system uses the antigens to recognize it as a threat. So then we have T lymphocytes. They are another type of defensive white blood cell, and they are able to activate B lymphocytes and attack the invaders. But the most important part of T lymphocytes is the memory T cells. They basically remember the battle that they had and remember how to fight it when the invader germs return in the future, if they return. And finally, we have the B lymphocytes. So the B lymphocytes basically detects an antigen, and they then create a protein called an antibody that attacks the invader. So that is basically immune response. Then, so now the general definition of vaccines. Basically, vaccines help develop immunity by imitating an infection. This type of infection never causes illness, or almost never, but it does cause the immune system to produce T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. These produce then antibodies. So, once the imitation infection goes away, the body remembers this infection with the T cells. And now the person, if it gets the real virus or the disease in the future, their body will be able to remember how to fight it. So this is very important. There's also a curious phenomenon called herd immunity. So basically, what happens is that vaccines don't just work on an individual level. They're able to protect entire populations. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for the spread of the disease between unvaccinated people decrease a lot, because basically the bacteria or virus simply won't have enough people to reach until an unvaccinated person is attacked. So basically, if everyone is vaccinated, there's a low probability that the virus will affect someone that is unvaccinated and could get harmed by this. So this is all for vaccines. This is a general look, a very basic look, but I covered everything important. These are some references and notable resources you can use to further your comprehension on vaccines, and I hope this presentation was of help. Thank you.